Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today finally Dota's replay system is not broken, and I can actually watch the game I want to watch. But yeah, we're going to be looking at a Pugna here today, and I want to teach you guys how to play Pugna support. This hero can be played as a 5 or a 4, and I think it's one of the most broken heroes in the game if you understand how to play it. Now, I will say I think Pugna is somewhat of a difficult hero, not necessarily in the laning stage. I think the laning stage is incredibly easy, but getting into the mid game, you have to know who to pair with, you have to know where to be, what items to buy, and then most importantly, you have to know when to use the crep offensively and defensively. So let's kind of get into that. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day I'm posting a new video to the Game League website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken, click the link down below and sign up. Alright, so the biggest strength of Pugna is easily the laning stage. This hero's laning stage is ridiculously straightforward. Basically, you can choose either the carry or the 5, and you are almost gonna bully every hero in Dota. The majority of heroes just don't trade you, and it's because of the fact that you have 330 movement speed, good damage at 55, good armor at 4 for a ranged intelligence hero, pretty good stats. As you can see, he's completely statted up here with the Blood Grenade and 6 Tangos, a full trading build, because that's what you want to do. And also, a hero like Lich has 550 attack range, you have 630, right? You're higher than most ranged heroes, so you almost always get the first hit off as well. It's also easier to hit people without pulling aggro, because you'll notice what Crit's going to try to do for the most part in this lane is hit people from out of aggro range. And then, if anyone ever commits to a trade, you drop your Q, and the Q does a ridiculous 100 damage every 5 seconds, so it's very hard to trade into Pugna. And yeah, that's kind of the name of the game. You can also obviously secure range creeps, as he's going to look to continue to hit the Lich. Doesn't want to trade into the Frost Blast too much. You can secure range creeps with your Q as well, and that's why the hero's so good. Let's say you're laning with a Lycan, and he's against a Naga Siren. It's going to be very hard for the Lycan in that case to actually go for the range creep, right? Very difficult. But Pugna can get it. Let's say you're against something like Muerta Centaur, a lane that's very difficult for a lot of offlaners to survive. The Crep at level 2 is going to give you the capability to save anyone you need to in that lane. And so the hero is very versatile. It can be played incredibly aggressively just by auto-attacking people to death. For instance here, the Lich just has to run away, right? As he blocks the small camp pull. Very nice from Crit here. Gonna look to deward the large camp. Oh, he actually doesn't find it, but unfortunate. And yeah, here I'm actually a little bit surprised he took Nether Ward. I mean, it's obviously good against Lich as he puts a heavy priority on unblocking the large camp here, which I like. I think 4 players just don't put nearly enough priority on blocking and unblocking the small camp, and I honestly think it's a huge mistake, right? I think having this camp open is super crucial. Oh wow, gets a double deward. That's really bad for the Lich, and he's gonna get the Lotus here. But yeah, essentially what the hero does is it's not always gonna just absolutely own every lane. I mean, here, he's against a Lifestealer Lich. This is not a weak lane, but you're gonna stabilize the majority of lanes. Because of the fact that you're so strong, they can't really go on your offlaner. Basically, every time I have Pugna, I have no problem picking what hero I think is best for the game and not necessarily for the lane, because I know Pugna is going to likely stabilize my lane. Now at level 3, the hero continues to scale because Nether Blast goes up to a very staggering 180 damage. So anytime you can hit a 2-man Q, I would generally go for it. It's going to pay off in the long run. So coming out of the laning stage, I would say this is actually the weakest point in the game for Pugna. Like this level 5 timing, I don't know, it's not that you're terrible. Obviously you can skirmish, right? Nether Blast is just a high damage spell because it's a 5-second flat cooldown. But you can see Crit decides to slow down the pace of the game, and I kind of like this because his mid laner was rotating here. And so he's just going to sap some mid XP, right? You want to get your mana boots. The hero's incredibly mana intensive. And when you get mana boots and you get level 6, especially if you get it early on into the game, it really does change how the hero plays. Because then you can just start spamming your heal and get really aggressive. And really the best thing about Pugna is the buff they gave to Nether Blast very recently. Previously, the hero used to do 50% damage to buildings with the Q. Now it does 65%. And it's very noticeable. I've asked multiple Pugna players how they feel about this change, and they say it's like extraordinarily noticeable. They're like, yeah, you just decimate towers nowadays. And it's true, right? And I would say taking tier 1s is one of the most effective strategies in Dota, like taking tier 1s early on. It just opens up the map, makes it very hard for enemies to gank and read your movements, and smoke ganks are just way more likely to connect and actually not get counter ganked because, well, the enemy doesn't have any tier 1s to TP to. And so doing this as Pugna, as long as you can do it safely, is incredibly high impact because you're going to get Giga farmed. He's level 6 and 3/4 at minute 930, made mostly because of the fact that he sapped a lot of XP in lane, but that's normal, right? That's very normal because you're a laner hero, right? You don't really roam very well, so you kind of just sit in the lane and help your laner. And then yeah, he sat mid, and now he's level 7, maxed out Q, 1 point in the other abilities, which is the most standard build. I definitely recommend going this build as well. And yeah, he takes the mid tier 1, and look at his net worth, 3.1k net worth. He is huge, right? He is huge. Now, this of course took some synergy from his mid being more of a jungling hero, which is something I also respect. I think it's maybe something Falcons even does intentionally, which is if you pick a mid or pick Pugna with a mid like Timber or Kunkka, Storm Spirit, right? Or Lina, these heroes that can jungle, you can then have your Pugna when he's a little bit weaker and wants his mana boots in level 6, maybe level 7, he can sap mid. Yeah, and at this point, Pugna's gameplay is pretty straightforward and simple. Like, you literally just take all the tier 1s. I mean, of course, if it's not an option, because some games are going to be losing. I mean, to be fair, most games in the early game, you should be doing well. As, oh, he gets that tower CS as well. He's going to legit have like 13-minute Aether Lens or something insane. But of course, something I would like to mention is you always have the capability to gank. I mean, at the end of the day, Life Drain is an extremely high damage spell. It does 160 damage per second at level 1, right? This is insane. Of course, all you need is disables. So this game, his main disable that he's going to pair with is Clockwork when Clockwork hits level 6. This Clockwork clearly played a bit more sacrificial this game. He's 0-2, doesn't have any CS, playing for stacks here, and so he doesn't have Hookshot. Maybe he could play with Slaughter, but Slaughter is more of a farming hero until he has a few more items. And so this is just one of those games where Crit should just be looking to take the tier 1s due to the fact that he has no one to really set him up. Now, when you're having a really good game, what you want to do is buy an Aether Lens, because that's the item that's going to let you play very aggressive and go for kill. However, if you're having a bad game, just rush Glimmer Cape. Honestly, it's the way to go. Also, you want to have raindrops like he does. This hero is very susceptible to getting bursted by magic damage early game, and so the way you keep yourself alive is Magic Wand and raindrops. And from there, we're going to see a Smoke Gank come out, and this is exactly what you would expect, right? On the Clockwork Hookshot, because you need that setup stun for the Pugna. On the Clockwork Hookshot, Clockwork's going to run up the hill, shoots a flare up the hill to scat out the lion. They're going to take their free lion kill. Very nice, very easy. And you can look to heal people at this point in the game. I mean, something you have to keep in mind without Tranquil Boots, if you are going to look to heal, what you have to do, as the blast almost kills off the Lich Share, what you have to do is you have to then heal off creeps, right? So if you're going to heal your teammates, guys, with Mana Boots or with Aether Lens, because he disassembled Mana Boots and Aether Lens, is you then have to suck creeps. And you have to do it in very safe places because you'll get very low. Something I also really like here is that Crit is very aware of what's going on around him. Even though they're looking for kills mid here, he sees the charge and decides to TP in when he sees that the charge is actually being committed, right? The Lifestealer is running forward with the creep. And yeah, I mean, it's a good play from the Dudley boys to actually get out here. I don't know if the Spirit Breaker gets out. It's a little bit hard to get away from Slaughter as he ends up going down. But I love Crit's TP there because he understands that if they commit, he can easily save the Slaughter. Your hero's a very, very good save hero. And yeah, then he gives some mana to Timbersaw. Even though it only gives half of the healing, so it gives 60 per second, 60 mana per second is not nothing, guys. Yes, it costs you a lot of health to give mana. It's fine, right? You should often do it. Also, something to keep in mind is you should be life draining Roshan. Don't like heal your teammates, just life drain Roshan. It does a ton of damage and will heal you if you need the healing. So yeah, a lot of people get this wrong. Now, generally what Crit does next is actually something I'm not a huge fan of, which is like really just burn your mana pool. Because what he does is he continues to farm up bottom. I mean, this guy is huge. He's almost the same net worth as the enemy Spirit Breaker. Also from there, he picked up Tranquil Boots, just help out with the positioning, right? Some movement speed, and then life draining, right? You heal from it. But yeah, he decides to use the remainder of his mana pool to take the tower. And the only case I think this is okay is if you are like certain that the enemy team won't come and fight you. Because yeah, if you burn yourself completely out of mana and then a fight breaks out, you're useless, right? So be very careful about this. In this case, I think he makes the read that there's no way they're gonna fight. And so he takes the tier 2 from full, which is Giga Chad, right? I mean, really cool. However, you have to be careful in your average match where they might defend. In terms of skill build, he took 200 health at level 10 and then actually put a second point in Netherward, which I highly don't recommend. I honestly don't know why he did this. I think at this point, especially if you have Aether Lens, just max the decrep, right? Because it's a very useful ability, right? Especially in a game like this, whoever the Lifestealer goes on, he can use it on, and then it's just good for doing damage, right? Naturally, it's very good for doing damage. With the help of the Clockwork, he's gonna amp the Clockwork and he's gonna amp the Eclipse. Right, but most importantly, you're just amping your own damage. Like, frankly, that is the main thing you're going to do. One thing I would like to point out is the positioning of the hero. It's a very defensive positioning hero, right? And I think a lot of people just overplay their hand. You shouldn't really be looking for aggressive sucks, right? Unless the moment really calls for it and someone overextends. If the enemy team is deep in your backline, like, sure, someone's completely isolated, sure. But for the most part in teamfights, guys, like, he drops a Q here very casually, drops the Netherward, which makes sense. They're diving, hide it in the tree line here. it's a good nether ward, right? It'll get some value. But then he waits, he kites out. He's kind of trying to read the situation, glimmers his timber here. Doesn't want the guy to get bursted. Considers healing his clockwork if he needs it. Even considers decrepping him, but realizes, okay, Lifestealer is backing off. It's not needed. And then he tries to nuke out the primal. This really didn't do anything, but yeah, just not overcommitting, having patience. Let your frontliners go in, let them do the work. If someone on the enemy team gig overextends, look to do damage. However, if that doesn't happen, you should just really look to heal people, right? Stay in the back and just focus on the heal. Healing, it's incredibly powerful because it's pure. If someone has a pipe on the enemy team, right, you're going to do very little damage to them with this hero. Or if they have like glimmers, right? But if you're healing an ally, it's always pure. Plus, it keeps you in position. And I would argue those are the two biggest things to keep in mind, right? When you go aggressive with Pugna, that's kind of how you feed and die. If you stay in the backline, you can heal up your teammate, go to half health, then drain an enemy, and, you know, heal back up yourself. But yeah, this is a pro game, and so there's a lot of like back and forth, poking and prodding, and this is the case in these extremely high MMR matches where neither team wants to commit because they understand if they commit, if someone goes too far up, that person will then die. Right, and so they try to stay as a ball and bait the enemy team to overextend. And in fights like this, the key thing is just not to go too far yourself. Like here, you can see he moves to the side. Instead of like running straight into the guy, like a lot of your average player would, they would just kind of run straight up. He moves to the side a little bit. It's a minor change, but it does make a big difference. Then he kites out and he continues to move to the side. Considers glimmering his clock, decides to do it, right? Make sure he can't get bursted by a finger or something like that. And yeah, here he honestly could heal the clock. That's definitely an option, but the guy has no hook shot, so whatever. He's not that important. Then I think he drops his Aether for mana, if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty important to do that because otherwise you're gonna have mana problems. So he should drop his Aether. Yeah, there you go. Drops the Aether and gets, oh no, he got Lotus, but he got healed in some, maybe he popped his own. He probably had one. I don't know, but yeah, it's very important. Then yeah, he's gonna heal up his timber, and this is what you do. With the Tranquil Boots, maybe a magic wand. Also, Glimmer reduces the amount of damage you take from Life Drain, which is why Glimmer is so important. Just the magic resist. And then if you pop the active, it also blocks the damage you do to yourself. So Glimmer is like absolutely required on this hero, in my opinion, after Aether, if your game is good. All right, and to finish off the video, to finalize our points on Pugna, he picked up a Force Staff, which I like. I think positioning is the name of the game on the hero, staying alive, right? Being able to save people. And so buying Glimmer Force, especially when you have Aether and Psychic Headband, it's just so good, guys, you know, because these items can be very difficult to use. Force Staff and Glimmer, their cast ranges, ever since they got nerfed back in the day, well, not that long ago, but semi-long ago, has made the items a lot worse if you don't have these items. But right, if you naturally have these two, picking up the Force Staff and of course the Glimmer is so powerful because you can use them without killing yourself. So we'll see here, he's going to Force Staff forward to try to save the Timber, which I generally don't recommend doing, right? He's going to force right here. I don't really recommend doing that, but in this case, the guy's super low, can get his Ags off. I can see the angle. Then typically what you do is put down Nether Ward. You just want to put this ability down as early as possible. The only reason he didn't put it down sooner is because he was healing his Timber, and then after that, he was getting chased by Primal, so he didn't want to, you know, spend time casting the ability that could get him killed potentially. So he decides to wait. From there, gonna play the outside. Notice how he's always moving backwards, always playing tree lines, avoiding vision, right? This is just a habit of these really high MMR support players that, you know, the average support player, they just stand in vision and they're like so easily targetable. And you can see Crit just doesn't do that. But okay, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. I definitely recommend this hero. I think it's incredibly powerful as long as you play to heal in the mid game. I think early game you can play to suck and do a lot of damage. But as the game progresses, it becomes harder and harder. And that's why I like the hero as a support, because then you just become a healing bot. And it's extremely nice. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace. And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.